to be conceived in the person of a priest and a doctor, are the superbly opposed heroes of this tale. Unintimidated by these thunderingly quarrelsome characters, the son will eventually find his way, after great tribulation, towards literature. Even as a child, Achille Cléophas Flaubert was possessed by a fiercely competitive spirit. Whether he was playing with the other boys down by the river, or learning his letters from an indolent priest, Achille Cléophas simply excelled. The modest country town of Nogent-sur-Seine, where his father doctored the cows and the horses, was far too small an arena for energy and talent such as his. Everyone agreed that Achille Cléophas was a boy who might go far. Those of a more critical disposition, such as his two elder brothers, might well have added, under their breath, that such damned superiority would be sure to end miserably. Trouble came upon this modest, respectable family in January 1793, when Achille Cléophas was 9 years old. Nicolas Flaubert, his father, was arrested in a local inn. He had been observed weeping as he read in his newspaper that the foul tyrant Louis Capet, formerly known as Louis XVI, had recently been beheaded using the scientific instrument of separation devised by Dr. Joseph Guillotin. These were anxious days. England had just declared war on France in response to the execution of the king. The authorities of the besieged infant republic had imposed a ferocious revolutionary vigilance. The political opinions of vociferous royalists like Nicolas Flaubert could no longer be ignored. Here was an educated man with a significant local influence. He had to be silenced. The Société Populaire de Nogent-sur-Seine, the local Republican committee, voted to send Citizen Flaubert to face the revolutionary tribunal in Paris. He would probably be sentenced to death or deportation, but Nicolas Flaubert was rescued by the intervention of his youngest son, Achille Cléophas. Tutored by his mother, the 9-year-old boy delivered a speech which swayed the hearts of the Société Populaire. We may pause to imagine this scene. It has all the ingredients of a genre painting in the elevated, political, sentimental style of the 1790s. The pure-hearted and precocious eloquence of the child prevails upon the moral sympathies of his father's accusers. Rescuing his father from death was undoubtedly the formative experience of Achille Cléophas' childhood, and it duly became a cherished family legend. As an image of the dark days of the Revolution, as a story passed down from father to son, it offered a sharply memorable lesson in the perils of political enthusiasm. However, there was worse to come. Citizen Nicolas Flaubert, so evidently unreliable, so lacking in public virtue, was arrested once again in February 1794 and carted to Paris to receive sentence. This was not the moment to step forward as an enemy of the people. The country was at war. Political hatred was in full flood. La patrie, the fatherland itself, was in danger. Patriots were stripping the lead from the roofs of churches and melting it down to make bullets to fire at invading Prussians. Nicolas Flaubert was duly sentenced to death. His wife came to Paris to plead for his life, equipped with certificates from influential persons in Troyes and Nogent. The sentence was commuted to deportation, a kind of civic death, with a good chance of actual death from hardship and tropical diseases. Nicolas Flaubert now languished in prison. He was one of 8,500 political prisoners being held during that fearful summer of 1794. The guilty were now so numerous that they had to be herded into dungeons improvised in convents, hospitals, and barracks. The prison regime was harsh. No visitors, no letters, no newspapers, 1 clean shirt a week, and daily roll call of those listed for the guillotine. Young men awoke to find their hair turning grey. 25 years later, in his medical thesis of 1810, Achille Cléophas recalled precisely this effect of physical terror. The young man whose hair turned suddenly grey, a phenomenon which we have seen repeatedly during the bloody weeks of the French Revolution. In mortal terror, many committed suicide, but Nicolas Flaubert was one of the fortunate survivors. He walked from prison in the month of Thermidor, August 1794, saved by the fact that Robespierre and his faction had been ousted from power, thus bringing the most radical phase of the revolution to its close. Nicolas Flaubert, like a man rising from the grave, made his way back to the village of Nogent and set about planning his family's future. He resolved to send his youngest son